morning. I'm Junior from Here For You Life Coaching, and we're going to talk about that identity, role identity, or occupational identity, because it'll help the everyday person when you start to understand what this is and how it happens, in everyday life too, with non-professionals, with people who are just living life, and then all of a sudden they get identified with things other than themselves. Okay, so yesterday we were talking a little bit about attachment, okay? And in that talk that we did yesterday, I started explaining how this works. If you're unaware of how it works, you kind of don't notice it until it's too late, okay? But when you begin to notice it, good morning, guys. Good morning, honey bud. Good morning, brew. So when you start to, when you start to realize that this is happening or what's happening, because a lot of times we don't know what's happening. It's not that we don't know what's happening. We're not too aware of when it starts happening. Why is that? Because we have things to do. We have our jobs to do. We have our families to tend to. We have things to do, right? So we're not always aware of like everything. So sometimes when we travel down the road enough, right, to where things become a problem, we go, oh, wait a minute, what's really going on? And then we get analytical, and then we analyze the situation. Then we go, okay, this is going on, that kind of thing. Good morning, guys. So we're on several platforms every morning, and I have a chat going on this side, and we have a camera over here, camera over there, and so we'd like to welcome everyone, and I'm in Honolulu, Hawaii. Okay, so let's continue. Role identity. So this is a psychological concept, okay? And it comes from identity theory in sociology and psychology. It describes how people internalize, okay, their profession or social roles, okay, like the doctor, the teacher, that kind of thing, the police officer, right, into their sense of self, okay? So you take on that identity because you do it, right? We're at work most of the time, let's face it, right? Over time, the role becomes so central to their self-concept that it overshadows their personal identity, okay? And that's where it starts to get a little bit, you start to forget about you, So the question becomes, what about me, right? Because it's about the police officer side of me, or the attorney side of me, or the doctor side of me, or the electrician side of me, or the plumber side of me, or whatever you do for a living, okay? So Bob the plumber, okay, starts to take on that identity. People start referring to him as the plumber. Oh, that guy Bob the plumber? That kind of thing, right? People don't go, oh, that plumber, Bob? They don't do it the other way around, okay? So we tend to assign these labels. Now, yesterday we talked a little bit about that, okay? Now, assigning labels, okay, starts to identify you with something else other than this. Okay, the kingdom is in here. The kingdom is in here. Your power is in here, okay? If it's my greatest message to people, or my biggest message, or whatever, the most significant message that I have to deliver to people is that the kingdom is in here. Everything, every solution, everything is in here. Because when you do affirmations, meditation, vocalization, visualization, what you find is that everything comes forth from here, okay? When you start to look out there for solutions, okay, what you find is more information from someone else's in here, okay? But then when you find that information, it's not always relative to your life path, okay, or to your purpose, or why you're here, or to your life. So for that, you need to connect to God, and God lives in here. The kingdom is within. Jesus Christ said the kingdom is within. So when you go within, that means you're still, that means you're listening, that means you're paying attention. That means when intuitive thought comes, you act on intuitive thought, because those are your messages. Now, the left brain, right, your logic will tell you, that can't possibly be so, right? But your ego is located, right, in the left side, the left hemisphere of your brain, okay? Your logic, that's where the ego is. The ego always thinks it knows better, always. And when we're younger, we rely on that ego. No, I know this is like this. I know this is like that. And then you figure out you don't know, right? And it's a little embarrassing sometimes, okay? So it can be. It can be. When you think something is a certain way because you think you figured it out. Okay, logic, ego. But on the spiritual side of things or the energetic side of things, okay, because you're not your body, you're not your name, you're that energy that lives in here. Okay, so that part of it is what I'm talking about. When I say spiritual, I mean the energy in here. Okay, I'm not talking about church, I'm not talking about religion, I'm not even talking about spirituality in the clique-ish sense. I'm not talking about that. The people that sit around and do yoga and all, I'm not talking about them. I'm talking about the energy within you. Okay, Jesus Christ was talking about that when he said the kingdom is within. When he said that God lives in here. Okay, so I'm paraphrasing about that second part, but the kingdom is within. So role identity is when you identify this with something else. Bob, the attorney. Bob, the doctor. Bob, the plumber. Bob, the electrician. And now what have you done? Well, you've taken this identity and you've assigned it to that. I'm not saying it's wrong. It's not wrong. Okay? But when you're aware of these things, then you could distinguish. Then you can start paying attention to both. Right? Because you feed, over here, maybe it's the attorney. So you feed the attorney part. Okay? And that could mean that, you put in the time, you have your own office, you invest a lot of time and energy into that because that's what feeds you. But don't neglect this one is what I'm saying. Because the kingdom is within. When you start, when there's an imbalance, okay, work-life balance, all right? When you start putting more into this one than this one, that's when you run into problems. That's when people overwork. Okay, and what is this? What is this? This is with the family, and this is the work part. And they put too much identity into this, so they're not identifying with this or the needs of this, okay? Or maybe the personal duties of this. And then what happens? Their home life gets wrecked. Why? Because they're always at work. They're identifying with this one. Okay, when someone's job dominates their identity, then you have a problem. Then there's no balance. So the work-life balance thing that you guys are seeing are because people have left themselves behind. Now there's a system. Okay? There's a system in place. And you can be in the system, but not of the system. You don't have to serve the system. Now, if your occupation serves the system, because many occupations do, then you have to have that balance. Okay, I go to work, I serve the system, I work in the Supreme Court or whatever, like something that serves the system. And I'm not necessarily talking about government, I'm talking about society. There's a system in place. So when you start looking at that aspect of things, okay, so the Christians have a saying for that. We say that you can live in the world and not be of the world. So you can live in the system and not be of the system. But there's definitely a system. So now when you separate the two, right, you have to create the balance. Work-life balance here, work, personal. When work kind of goes like this a little bit, you start taking a little bit more work home. We went over that yesterday, right? A little bit more. Pretty soon it's like this. Now 60% of your life is work, 40%. Well, I'll take a little bit more home to catch up. Okay, I'll go over here. Okay, now 70%. Okay, what's left for you over here? This represents you, your family, your recreation, your gym, your all of that. And now work is consuming more of that. Now what happens? Now your relationship goes on the rocks. Now your kids are angry at you. Why? Because you're not there for them. Why? Because you're over here. Okay? Yeah, you're providing for them. Okay? I can't even tell you how many relationships guys call me up. Junior, I need some help. How am I going to resolve this? She wants a divorce. What do I do? That kind of thing. Tons of those cases. And I have to push them back over here. Okay? Because when you get over here, guess what happens to the relationship side? That goes off balance too. And you have to pay attention. But you have to be a leader at the same time. And part of being a leader is being attentive in observing where your attention is necessary and leading in that respect that you're proactive. So now you have to push this back. Okay? Just recently I had a client that had a problem with that. She was what I call a high-powered attorney. Very high-powered, very high position. But work started creeping into the house, creeping into the house, creeping into the house. So my first question was, did you go to the gym this week? Oh no, I meant to go, but work just got so busy. Work just got, work. Okay. Imbalance. And when that imbalance happens, it affects everything else on the personal end. On the work end, there's just work. Okay, whether it's the corporation or whether it's your small businesses take a lot of work. Like, for example, if you owned a lunch truck, that's a lot of work. You don't realize how many businesses, even as small as they are, require time. Sorry. I'm trying to do all this in real time. Okay, but it requires time. A lot of time. And when something takes your time, it takes your life. Okay, your life. Think about this. Okay, life is short. Life is short. That's why I always say life is short, live your dreams. Okay? Because people put off their dreams till later. Well, I'll just do this to make money. I'll pay the bills. I'll work on paying the bills now. I'll live the dream later. Okay? I'll live the dream someday. Someday never comes. Why? Because you keep going like this, going like this. The dream is over here. Okay? You're over here saying, I'm going to do the preliminaries first. And time just keeps going like this. And the dream gets farther away. Sometimes it goes like this and it gets farther away, farther. And the dream is over there. This is the dream. Okay? You're over here. You see? This gap over here, good luck in filling that gap. Because there's always going to be work. There's always going to be bills. There's always going to be family. There's always going to be whatever it is. But your dreams are separate from that. You can live your dreams and have a family. You can live your dreams and do whatever it is you're doing. But you have to stick to that mindset. That's why this is mindset coaching. Because everything has a mindset. You have to make allowances for certain things. You have to balance. But you can live your dreams that way. You have to be that center point, and everything else corresponds to you. Okay, what does that mean? And that means you have the conscious, subconscious, and superconscious. The conscious mind makes the decision. You have to stick to that decision, and your timeline will correspond to you. Time corresponds to you. There is only one now. Okay, there was one now yesterday. Today, there's one now. Tomorrow, there's one now. Okay, time is an illusion. Einstein told you that. Or maybe he didn't tell you, but he said it. Okay. So now when you start this role identity, when you fall into the role identity trap, what happens? Well, now you're taking from here and you're putting it on the title. You're putting it on the degree. You're putting it on the position. You're putting it, you see what I'm saying? And when you go back to it, what does that position serve? Well, sometimes it serves the corporation. Sometimes it serves you if you have your own business, but sometimes it serves the corporation. Sometimes it serves whatever. If you work at the courthouse, it serves the system, the court. Okay? If you're working for the city and county, it serves the city. Part of the system. But you can be in the system and not of the system, but you have to separate it. Where is the separation? The separation is here. The separation is here. Okay? People struggle to separate personal and professional. They struggle because one overtakes the other. And it's difficult to balance. It's not an easy thing to balance. Try it. Try balance. Balance work and then work wants you to do a project, and then they have weekend things, and they do nonprofit things, and then they do more things. And then they need more what? Volunteers. And then you volunteer. And what about the family? What about your side? What about this side over here? What about the gym? What about your health? See, this is where you get people so consumed by the system. Work, 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 money, 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 position, position, position. And then even before retirement, they're sick, they're suffering, they're in the HMO now, they're, not even retired yet, and they're sickly, and they're limping, and they're, all of that stuff that's going wrong because they overworked their body, because they're overtaxed. Okay, not taxed by the IRS. They're overtaxed physically. Who overtaxed them? They did. Why did they do it? They were led to believe that it was the thing to do. Okay, work hard. Work hard. Do you have to work hard in today's society? No, you don't. Did you have to work hard in the plantation, in the industrial age? Yeah. Because things needed to be built. Things are built now. Things are in place now. AI is coming on board. Okay, that's going to make the world run a little easier. There's going to be good and bad involved. But how are you going to fit into this? What mindset are you going to use to fit in? And where will you fit in? And how will you fit in? The how is not so important. The how is God's job. You need to figure out what you want to do and why, and leave the how to God. God is very real, and God lives in here. But if you're identifying with things outside yourself, even the car, you identify with a car enthusiast. Oh, that's my car. That's I shine this car. I accessorize this car. This car is everything. Okay, now it's all about the car. What about you? What about your family? What about, work-life balance? So when you catch yourself, so this is the 50 percentile. When you catch yourself over here, this is work, this is personal. When it gets too busy, it goes like this. A lot of people are busy doing nothing, first of all. Secondly, the people that are taking work home to catch up don't realize there's always going to be work. And yes, people are loyal to companies. There's nothing wrong with that as far as I'm concerned. It's good to be a company man or company woman, right? But then over here, now you're at 60%. This is work, 60, 40% personal. See? And it keeps going like this. Why? Well, corporations don't have feelings. Entities don't have feelings. So what happens on the family side? You see it all the time. People suffer all the time. Their families suffer. Maybe not suffer, okay? I'm not talking about that. And I've been through a lot of that as well. Okay, when you have parents that are achievers, that happens. So it's not necessarily like there's no money. Not that kind of suffering. There's other kinds of suffering. when you graduate and, oh, sixth grade graduation, you're not there for these little milestones that mean a lot emotionally to your children. And it's not just about children. It's about your wife, it's about your relatives, it's about your parents, it's about a lot of things. The variables don't matter. What matters is balance. So when you look at the sociological aspect of it, okay, the society, okay, society reinforces the labeling, okay? Why? Because we look up to the lawyer, we look up to the doctor, we look up to professionals. We look up to managers, we look up to supervisors, we look up to CEOs. Okay, so we reinforce this phenomenon, if you will. If it's a phenomenon of sorts, right? But it's a phenomenon because it's not real. It's imagined. It's put in your mind. The ladder of success doesn't exist, but they tell you, well, if you want to climb the ladder, if you want to get to the next level, if you want, there is no next level. There's more responsibility, if that's what you call the next level. There's more responsibility, there's more, but these people that get into titles like this sometimes regret it, and eventually they leave. Why? Because too much damage is done over here. And sometimes what's required should be handled by a single person because it's too taxing on the family. Okay? So you're talking about role identity, occupational identity, okay? Professional over-identification, that's another term. Over-identification. Okay, now how does this professional thing apply to the everyday guy? Okay, you have a position. Okay, let's say that you're a laborer. You have a position. What if you identify with that more than you identify with home? I know a lot of people like that, right? Laborers that their boss is sort of like their dad, right? And that guy mediates a lot of stuff within his family, right? Because people take you under their wing. That's a natural thing to do. That's people caring about people. That's not the bad part. The bad part is when you start taking from in here and you put it over there. Okay. It's like when you have faith. If you take your faith and you put it up there, where's God? God is in here. Same thing. It doesn't matter if it's God, it doesn't matter if it's a position, it doesn't matter if it's whatever it is that's exterior out here. And when I say God, God is in here, but some people believe he's up there or out there. There is no out there. There is only nature out there and things from someone else is in here. The system is made up from someone else's in here. We were born into the system. We were born to serve the system. But you can thrive in the system. You can enjoy the system. You can make the system work for you. If you haven't made the system work for you so far, affirmations, meditation, vocalization, visualization, you have your own life path. You have your own blessings. You have your own, what in Hawaii we call mana. You have your own life source. You're on the planet for a reason. You're here for a reason. If you found your purpose, then you know. If you haven't found your purpose, then you don't know. Okay? But you're here for a reason. You will be provided for by God to suit your purpose. So it's important that you find your purpose. Why? Because people get distracted. You get distracted from things out here. You get pulled into the video games. You get pulled into the festivals. You get pulled into, you see, the clubs. Not necessarily nightclubs. You can get pulled into the automobile club. Now you're all about that. You can get pulled into the, whatever club, the bike club. Now you're over there riding bike. Whatever it is, okay? But we get distracted into things. A lot of people tell me, oh, I have a bad memory. You don't have a bad memory. You just don't be still enough. That's why you get distracted. And what you're being distracted with in the present, right here in front of you, is taking your power. How does that happen? When you observe something with your eyes, okay? You know how you talk to people and they go, oh, I'm obsessed about this thing. I'm obsessed. Or, oh, this series I'm watching, I'm obsessed by. I binge watched the whole thing last night. You see? Now they're pulled into that. I don't even own a television. I haven't owned a television in years on purpose. There was a time that I used to watch television. You're binge watching the series. There's nothing wrong with it. I'm not saying this is not a judgment issue. Okay? This is self-abandonment. The self-love that they're preaching? Self-love, self-care, go to the spa, get your nails done. Okay, for the guys, go get your me time, go running, go to the gym, go do whatever, go surf, go do whatever it is, go skiing, that kind of thing, right? Get your me time in, get your personal time. It's because human beings get distracted. And when you get distracted, let's say in a series, and let's say the series is, I don't know, I've never watched a series. I don't have time. Or let's say it another way. I do not want to waste my life watching a series. I would rather be doing something productive. Okay. But let's say one episode is an hour long or 2 hour. I don't even know what they're 2 hours long, 1 hour, whatever. Let's say it's 1 hour. And let's say the series is 20 episodes long. That's 20 hours of your life. 20 hours of your life. Okay, now, you're all about that story. You're all about that, when you're watching that story, nothing else exists. Why? Because you're focused on the story. And like I said, this is not a right or wrong thing. This is a choice thing. How do you want to spend your life? But just know that when people ask you, they ask you questions about things and you don't remember, it's because your focus, your concentration, all of it was right there in the series. People tell me, oh, I have a hard time to focus. Yeah, I really try deliberate manifestation, but I have a hard time to focus. So I'm like, the way you watch the series, they go, oh, yeah, I love the series. Okay, do that for something you want. Do that for someone you love. Do that for yourself. Okay, we're going to watch the series. Now you've trained your subconscious to watch the series. How many people do you know that go, I can't wait for the next series. That was a good series. Can't wait for the next one. Oh, I discovered this other series, and now I'm watching that series. Okay. So now after work, right, they're watching series. Okay. So now they're, we're talking about work-life balance. So this is the, work life. Okay. And the work has gone over here, but over here you have a small amount of time and now you're in the series. And then when the series is done, right, you want to watch as many as you can. Sometimes you stay up overtime. You go to work the next day, right? People, you hear that. People go to work the next day. Oh man, I'm tired today. What happened? I stayed up watching the series. It was so good. It was so good. Okay. And then you look for the next one, and then the next one. Pretty soon, it's not that series that you're hooked onto. It's watching a series. And that happens through your subconscious. I have to reprogram people all the time, all the time. Now, is it difficult? No, it's not difficult. But you have to choose, and you have to stick to your choice. And that's the center point. When you stick to your choice. How does that happen? Well, there's a term for it. It's called make up your mind. When you make up your mind on what you want, a lot of people don't know what they want. Why? Because there's so many choices. You know, back in the day, we only had a few television stations. We only had a few networks, 3 major networks. And then things started branching out a bit. Now you have a television, you have 250 channels. Maybe more. I don't know. I don't own a television. Like, haven't owned one for over 20 years on purpose. So now with over 200 channels and you have an hour of free time, which one are you going to watch? See? Okay. Of course you're going to find something you like, right? But what I'm saying is, instead of this choosing from this pool, you more, right? Just like your algorithm, same thing. It'll show you more of what you want. So you'll get what you want. You will get what you want. But what you want and your desired results are not always conducive to each other. You know, some people say, well, I want extra money. I want, you know, and then on this side, right, it's like, oh, I got to watch that. So all your free time is being taken when you could be doing a side hustle or whatever. I'm just saying whatever. I'm just throwing things around. My job here is to make you think. And I'm here for free. This is my volunteer. I'm not here to sell you anything. I don't have anything to sell you. I don't have a program. I don't have a series of things that you can watch, okay? This is it. But this is important because we are at a very important crossroads. And a lot of very, I want to say, impressionable beings that aren't even born yet are going to experience a very, very different kind of life than we did. But to understand this one is important. Okay, so you can create anything. You can have, do, or be anything. It's true. I've done it. I've done so many things. The goal wasn't to make $1 million here, $1 million in this, you know, have $6 million companies. No, the goal was to be free enough to be able to do this, or this, or this. And then you create it for yourself. Okay, but be careful what you create. You become a slave to your creations. Okay. Balance. Balance is key. So role identity. Be careful what you identify with. Okay? And that includes another person. That includes your wife. I see these guys, they don't know who they are because their whole life is about their life. Oh, my wife did it. Well, I gotta ask my wife. Oh, what time is it? Oh, I gotta ask my wife if I can. You know, my wife. It's all about his wife. What about him? Oh, never mind about me. Is it my wife? It depends on how you use this. But what's important is that you understand this one, is that you understand what you were given, is that you understand the kingdom within. Because once you understand the power of the kingdom within, once you understand your solutions all come from it here, once you understand what Jesus was talking about, and the story of Jesus is the one truth. I'm not here to tell you what to believe. I'm just saying these things because it's written in the stars It's written in the stars. I don't know anybody who can change the stars, but it's the story of Jesus. However you believe, okay? But the spiritual side of things, that energetic side of things, goes into the superconscious category. So there's the conscious mind that makes the decision. Okay, once that decision gets into the subconscious as a belief, it starts confirming that decision, that topic. Then the superconscious, God, starts opening the doors as you take the steps. I have a client that doesn't believe in God. Every once in a while, I'll get a client that doesn't believe in God. And I'm like, oh, okay. So I have to explain things in a little different way. I have to explain it a little differently. But I'm like, do you see how when you take the steps, you see how the doors open? You see how the right people come into play? You see how you meet the right people when the energy is good? And you put forth that energy and you take the steps, baby steps, you keep going forward, the doors keep opening. And he said, yeah, I see it. I go, okay, whatever you want to call that. I call it God. And to me, God is real. Okay? And that's that power that you're having here, because all three states of consciousness, okay? Conscious, subconscious, superconscious, or we can say conscious, subconscious, and God, however you believe, is in here. Tons of things there. That's my desk. That's tons of things there. That's my desk. That's my desk. Okay? A disorganized desk, chaos, okay? That's a different thing. Now, an organized desk where everything is, you ever know girls like that? Everything is in its place, everything is immaculate. That's how they are in here. That's the universal law of correspondence. You cannot be organized in here and have a messy desk. It doesn't happen. It just does not happen. You will know them by their fruits. The subconscious tree. Subconscious, the roots of the subconscious, the trunk of the tree is your paradigm, how you see the world, your attitude, your worldview, which dictates how you act. The fruits of the tree, your actions that turn into results. And then what happens? Well, if you're happy with those results and how it's going right now, no problem. Most of us want to evolve. Okay, human beings have that in them naturally to evolve. You know, one of the people I followed for years, Sadhguru, said, well, today, if we give you the world, tomorrow you're going to want the moon. It's human nature. So that seeking, that natural seeking that you have within you is only held back by a lack of self-confidence. Okay, so let's examine that. Lack of self-confidence. How does that happen? That happens. Afrocentric, good morning. Or maybe good evening where you are. Hi, nice to see you again. I remember you. So, you know, the clutter that's in here prevents self-confidence. The anxiety, the overthinking, the second guessing, doubting yourself. Okay? Doubt and fear. Is it from out here and back here? No. Cannot. It's impossible. You cannot fix things from this way back in here. You fix it from here, and this will unfold it like that for you. Life unfolds for you. Life happens for you. It doesn't happen to you. If you think life happens to you, then that would suggest it happens like this. This is victim mentality. It doesn't happen to you. It happens for you. You put forth the good mood, you put forth the good effort, you put forth the good intentions, and what happens? The doors open. People start coming around. Why does this happen? You see these guys, they're winners, and they keep winning. And people keep coming around them, right? Because winning is attractive. Nobody likes a loser. The people that keep losing, do they attract good people? No, not at all. Like attracts like. They attract losers. This is not a judgment thing. Just observe, just look, just observe. Winners hang with winners. Losers hang with losers. Complainers hang with complainers. This is why they say, show me 5 people. Show me the 5 people closest to you and I'll tell you who you are. Show me your desk, I'll tell you who you are. Show me the inside of your house, I'll tell you who you are. Show me the inside of your car. Is it organized? Is it clean? Or is everything thrown all over the place? When you give your friend a ride, just throw everything on the other side. Is it like that? But it starts in here. You got to clean this one up first. You got to organize this one first. You got to work on this first so that everything out here is automatic. Why? Because it's subconscious. Manifestation is subconscious. It's not magic. It's not witchcraft. It's not black magic. It's I'm not here to make moral judgments. I'm not here to urge you to do anything moral or immoral. I'm saying it is what it is. You're a human being. But that's how we work. That's how we're designed. We can bring anything into our world. I always use the cookie analogy. You go to a party, you try the cookies. They go, wow, that's a good cookie. Can I have another one? Yeah, another cookie. Pretty soon you're like, hey, where do you get these cookies? Oh, I get them at Costco. A few days later, you're at Costco with a bag of cookies in your hand. Now you got a cookie habit, but you manifested the cookies. So now when you go home, you walk in the kitchen, there's the bag of cookies. Oh, well, I manifested that. How did that happen? First, you had the thought. Okay. Then good cookie was the belief into the subconscious. Oh, that's a good cookie. Okay. Subconscious goes, well, maybe you should get some. Those were good cookies. Yeah, maybe you should get some. Subconscious works in repetition. It learns in repetition and then it repeats in repetition. Okay. This is the original computer right here. You are. All your power is in here. So now you had the ability, you had the power to get down to Costco to buy the cookies. Now they're in your kitchen. You manifested that. How do you manifest a new car? Same way. You think about it. Write down the affirmation. Affirmation, meditation, vocalization, visualization. Act as if you already have it. Be excited about it. And something inside of you one day will go, you know what? I think I'll just go check it out at the new car lot. I think I'll just check. I'll just go. I'll just try. Then you get a good salesperson. Then he does his job. And here's another thing that I learned from Bob Proctor years ago. Okay. I didn't take his course. I watched him on YouTube. But this is what I learned from him. You give whoever their price, okay? Whatever price someone else is asking. Because when you demand salesperson's responsibility to be a good salesperson. Salesperson's responsibility to be a good salesperson. And to make it possible for you to get that new car. That's his job. If it doesn't work for you, it's his job to find out how it can work. And like I said, the how is God's job. God will work it through that person. If it's not the right time, then it won't work. And then you go, okay. Because the guy will tell you, the guy will say, well, come back and try, maybe next year, and maybe your credit clears up, maybe we have a better program, maybe we have a better price, whatever it is. Doesn't matter. Immaterial. But he will tell you himself, oh, come back, try next time, whatever. So maybe it's not the time. That's God telling you it's not the time. Okay, then come back when the time is right. When I went, everything went boom, 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 boom. Nobody gave me a down payment. I didn't get a down payment from my family. I didn't get a down payment from my friends. Nothing. $58,000 on signature right there. Just boom. That's it. And the rest, as they say, is history. Now, did I lose money? Of course. They make a profit. They're in business for a reason. If you expect to go buy a car and the car dealer to not make a profit, okay, that's bad on you. Okay? Shame on you. They're there as a business to make money. Sure, you want to get the best deal. Of course, understandable. Sure, you want to go to the right dealer and get a dealer you can trust. Some dealers are not, what I would call up and up. But they're in the business to make money. They're not there to do favors for everybody. It's a business. But when you do your business, you can ask. When you do your service, you can ask what it is for you. When you get in a relationship, make it clear what you want. I want this, I want this, I want this. If that's doable, maybe we can do something together. Do people do that? No. Starts with a drink or an introduction, and then they go out, and then, one thing leads to another, and then pretty soon a week turns into a month, and then a year, and then, like that, right? Nobody communicated anything in the beginning. They start to communicate way down the road after the fact. Communication starts on the first date. When you go to get a car, communication starts when you walk onto the lot. You have to know what you want, or at least have an idea, right? Okay, affirmations, meditation, vocalization, visualization. Write your affirmation. In your meditation, be still and think about it. Just be still and focus on the car. Focus on a new car. Ask, where's the new car? It will be shown to you. Vocalization, speak it. I'm so happy and grateful now that I have my new car. Thank you. Affirmations, meditation, vocalization, visualization. Visualization, get a picture of the car you want and put it on here, I'll show you. Put it on your screensaver, okay? Make a vision board. I've had fellow Christians tell me, well, that's devil stuff. That's evil. That's evil spirits. Really? It's your subconscious. Okay, here. This is a vision board of a car. Okay, that's my next lease. It's not going to be that color. I changed my mind. I ordered it already. Okay, but I don't take anything for granted. So put it on your screensaver. Every time you lift your phone, guess what? You're going to see it. Okay? Oops, there it is. Wow, yeah, that's the target. You're telling your subconscious, that's the target. Your subconscious will go, oh, that's the target? Okay, got it. What is it going to do? It's going to look for confirmation on how this can be possible or how this exists. It will look for confirmation. Every time I bought anything, I noticed, oh, there's a bump in business. Why is that? Because God sends the sustenance. You make the commitment, God goes, okay, here you go. Here's the money to pay for it. Some people think that's crazy. They've never done it that way. It works that way. Read Florence Scovel Shinn's book, The Game of Life and How to Play It. Read Wallace D. Wattles' The Science of Getting Rich. Read Napoleon Hill's Think and Grow Rich. All of those books are saying the same thing. There's nothing new. Human beings are designed one way, that's it. Other side that does that. It's the opposing energy that does that. God is salvation, God is love. God is support. So all the positive things belong to God. All the positive emotions, love, peace, gratitude, joy, passion, excitement, enthusiasm, hope, and satisfaction all belong to God. The opposing energy, okay, and we are in a war of good versus evil, and it is a spiritual war. It's a very highly charged energetic war right now. See, in the old days, we still had the same war, but we didn't have devices that amplified the war, okay? Now, everybody sees it in real time. Now, people can participate from across the world. Okay, the low frequencies: worry, irritation, disappointment, criticism, anger, hate, boredom, envy, despair, grief, guilt, shame, and fear. Guess who that belongs to? That belongs to the devil, if you that side. And guess what? It's all in here. You can be both. So like I said, I'm not here to say be a good person. I'm not here to say be an evil person. I'm here to say this is how your person works, okay? Use it. Use it wisely. Because you only have so much time. And I always say life is short, live your dreams, because that's all I do. If it's not my dream, I don't do it. And there's a lot of things I don't know about on purpose, because I don't want to be bothered with that. Why? Because I'm working on my dream. I'm working on my purpose. I'm here busy working on my thing, doing my thing, helping others with their dreams, doing that stuff. And before that, I was always helping people with their dreams, but I was doing mine. I was living mine too. And that's another thing. You can do that. You can do both. You can help somebody else with their dream. Oops, we have to, okay. We have to confirm this. Hang on one second. You can help somebody else with their dream, and you can live your dream at the same time. I did it for years. I did it for years and years and years. I trained people. I brought them into my dream so they could experience, because they had the same dreams. They had the same dreams. And I'm like, okay, come, experience this. Try it. This is what it's like. And the kids were like, wow, nobody lets us do this. I'm like, well, welcome to Uncle. Okay? Because I know that the fastest way to live your dreams is to help somebody else live their dream. Subconscious learns to share. Your subconscious learns to be empathetic. Your subconscious learns to be generous. Your subconscious learns to be kind. And all you have to do is repeat these actions for a little while. 2 weeks and you'll feel the shift. 66 days and it will be a habit. And your life will transform. Okay, I'm getting the signal that, yep, we gotta see you tomorrow. It's 8 a.m. in Hawaii, and we're here every morning at 7 a.m. Hawaii time. I have nothing to sell you. There's no sales pitch. Sorry about that. If you were expecting, some miraculous course or something. No, no, no. But the website, if you want to check it out, it's hereforyoulifecoaching.com. I'm Junior. You can also write to me and I'll give you free emails if you want. Junior@hereforyoulifecoaching.com. Okay. So anyway, this is my public service, and it's brought to you by Here for You Life Coaching. So until